therapist and I will be doing that. And then we will come back in and have a beautiful conversation.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know if I'll ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down. Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know if I'll ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down.
All right. Welcome, everyone. I see people are finding us. When you find us, share it, please. And welcome to my co-host of the day, Michelle Madrid-Branch. Michelle, I am so happy to connect with you.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. And by the way, I love that song. I've never heard it before, and I love it. Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, you're so welcome. It's my motto now. Even if the sky is falling down, whatever's going on that looks like it might be disastrous on the outside, I'm going to keep my high vibration.
Absolutely.
It is a state of mind, isn't it?
It really is a state of mind. You know, I call it living in a beautiful state. You know, I'm here in the state of California, and it's pretty much always beautiful here, but it is my choice to choose to live in a beautiful state, even if, as the song says, the sky is falling down. And it's a hard concept to grasp, and it takes, practice, like building a muscle, but we can always find something to grab hold of to make us connect with things of beauty and those life-affirming moments in our lives and the things that are around us that remind us that the journey is worth living and worth continuing onward, right? So it really is where we place our focus so often, so very often.
Yeah, so many times people focus on the fails. What did I fail at today? And going into the low vibration that, they weren't able to meet an expectation. But I say that thing that you perceived as a failure, that could be the impetus for your next greatest breakthrough. That could be the thing that says, oh, okay, that didn't work. Let me find what does work. So it is a perspective, it's a mindset, it's not falling backwards, not falling down, not giving up, never give up.
Yeah, absolutely. Never give up. And, so often, and, along my own journey of life, and life is always going to throw us some obstacles and challenges, and you never know what, hand you're going to be dealt. But I often have, found myself in my own journey. There have been times, oftentimes in the past, where I looked at the imperfections and believed that that was who I was. That was my identity. And I became stuck in an imperfection, an imperfect moment in my life, something that hurt me, a rejection that happened, or whatever, a disappointment. And I began to look at those pieces of my life differently. And I began to see the imperfect moments as moments of strength. Like if I really looked at them, if I took them apart and looked at them in a different way, might there be a lesson there that could then be used as a fuel to propel me forward, right? And not keep me stuck. And so I think often we look at imperfections and we think, oh, I don't want to share that. I don't even want to look at that. But when we do, when we allow ourselves to do, I find that it really can be an impetus for transformation, for a great change, and something that can lead us onward to finding a calling or a purpose. I call it miracle in the mess. Life can be messy, but there's miracle there if we allow ourselves to stop and take it in and notice what we notice and be willing to find the beauty there.
Oh, absolutely. I think it was Mel Robbins that said, turn your mess into your message. And I absolutely love that. I love that thought.
Ooh.
And
I love that too. I've not heard of that. Turn your
yes,
mess into your message. Yeah, there's a reason why the word message, these are signs. There's a reason why the word message starts with MESS, right? Because that's where we
exactly.
find the messages. That's where we find the guidance and really a path forward again to our ultimate reason for being here, our unique one of a kind calling.
Mhm. Absolutely. And, like you were talking about how we don't like to look at our flaws.
Mm.
So many times when we look in the mirror, that's what we look for. We look to see, oh, do I have a new wrinkle? Do I have some more gray hair? We look for what we don't want instead of looking at what do I want? Do I want to look in that mirror and see the beauty? Do I want to look in my eyes and see that there is more than just this human body in here? And so many times we do that. We look at the flaw instead of going into that mindset of, you know what? I am beautiful. I am a creation made from God, and I am beautiful.
Yeah.
I used to have, when I had my own place, I no longer have a place. I live in my car on this journey that I'm doing. But when I had my own place and my own mirror in the bathroom, I would take lipstick and draw a heart to where my face just fell right in the center of that heart. So then every morning when I walked in and I did look at myself in the mirror, I'm not focused on what flaw there is. I'm focused on that heart and how loved I am and how beautiful. And we can all do little tricks like that, can't we? Do you
Yeah.
have a trick that you can share, a little tip for us?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that mirror work, I believe Louise Hay even talked about mirror work, but, I think it's really key because that takes me way back to sort of the origins of my journey of transformation and learning how to love myself because I didn't always know how to do that. I didn't even think it was possible at one point. But I remember a time when I began to understand through reading some of Louise Hay's works and others, the works of others, that, really looking at my reflection and beginning to see the person who was there, not just the reflection that you're talking about of all the things that were wrong. What if I looked deeper beyond and saw the things that were right? And what if I began to ask questions like, how did that moment, although it felt really broken and really messy and really ugly, how might it have happened for me and not to me? Because there's a big difference there. That's a
Oh,
huge
yes.
distinction. And
Mhm.
so I remember, oh my gosh, this is probably 15 years ago or something. I started journaling. And I called it my mascara moment time, because I would be in front of the mirror, getting ready for the day or whatever, and I would stop. You put on mascara as the woman, if you choose to do that, and we don't often look into our eyes. And I would just stop and I would look deep into my eyes and I would start to affirm myself, that I am love and that I am not the sum of the difficult times in my life or the things that have hurt me, the disappointments, the rejections. My story goes back to the United Kingdom when I was a kid in foster care. Both of my parents turned away from me. And I was marked and labeled in foster care as a difficult to place child, a dark child, an ethnic child. And there were labels, I call them my logos of limitation, that really made me feel unworthy in this life of love, of being embraced, of being included. And I really thought that I had to live my life in the shadows, marginalized, if you will. But when I took that time to do that mirror work, like you're suggesting, whether you draw a heart around your face or whether you do mascara moments, revelations, and allow yourself to speak truth instead of listening to the lies that we so often will tell ourselves, it is transformational, important work. It really is. And it's not easy to look at ourselves in the mirror and see someone of worth, someone worth fighting for, someone worth loving. But when we do that, it is really remarkable, the truths that come out when you really allow yourself to hear what's waiting to be heard. It can turn your life around. And I know it did for me. And honestly, honest to goodness, it started in front of the mirror with my little mascara moments journal.
Mhm. Yeah, it is. It's tremendous, beautiful work. And that mascara can run sometimes because
Yeah, yeah. And that's
when we dig
okay.
in, when we dig in there, the tears are going to start falling usually.
Yeah, and that's okay. I know one of my life lessons has been to understand that perfection doesn't exist. Because I used to equate, as a kid who was in foster care and then who was adopted internationally, I really believed that if I wasn't perfect all the time, that I risked being sent back. I risked another rejection. And so I've learned, there would have been a time where mascara running would have caused me great anxiety. And now I let it run because it's in those moments of beautiful imperfection when we allow ourselves to be human, where I think we just grow deeper seeds of understanding of who we are, why we're here, and the potential that we hold.
Yes, so beautiful. It's not about perfection, it's about progress.
Yes, yes. Progress, step by step, right? And
Yeah.
it's not like we get up in the morning, we have to figure it all out in a day. For me, it's that 1% and then another 1% and then another 1%. As I move forward in life and as I grow and I discover more of who I am, just a little bit at a time, planting those little seeds. And one day you look behind you and you see this beautiful garden growing, right? And
Yeah.
you've been this planter of the seeds and you've just been doing the work consistently and continuously.
Oh, how beautiful. Well, Michelle, you certainly epitomize turning your mess into your message from what you're sharing here. And
Thanks.
just tell us a little more about the work that you do and how you inspire and help others to see that they're not a failure, they're not imperfect, and that feeling of rejection can be turned into empowerment. So share
Oh,
with us how you do your work and who you usually minister to.
thank you so much for saying all of that. The journey for me of learning how to love myself after abandonment and rejection just blindsided me so early in my life has not been easy. And to be a kid in foster care in the United Kingdom and to be labeled and devalued and minimized on so many levels, you really do begin to believe those things. When we're young, I always tell people words matter. They can harm us or they can heal us. So we need to choose our words very wisely because they can become our identity and those logos of limitation that we wear. And so for me, it has been a journey of shedding those things. I went to school and became a television news journalist. And I think that was a career that served me very well for quite some time. But at one point in that journey, that professional journey, I realized, I questioned myself. Asking yourself the right question, the quality question is key. Sort of like, why am I doing this? I'm good at this, but is it really good for me? you know, is this what I'm really here to do? And I think part of my decision process in choosing that career was, again, perfection and looking for an identity that I didn't feel like I had the power to come to on my own. It still gave others the power to identify me, and also my worth. And so for me, if I was maybe on television, etc., maybe that would be my identity, and I would be embraced and included and wanted. But I constantly lived in fear of rejection, And at one point, I realized along this journey, this professional journey, that I needed to really look at these patterns of thought that I was carrying with me. And lo and behold, that led me to a whole new career and journey in my life. I actually left television news, and that was scary because I'm like, who am I if I'm not this person that I see on television, right? So I literally took a step out of an airplane at like 14,000 feet and skydived into the unknown. And I landed in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and it really caused me to be still. Santa Fe is a slower moving place. I was used to always being on the go. And I think another reason I chose that profession, I didn't have to stop and think. I didn't have to stop and be with me, be with myself, because that really caused me some anxiety. But there in Santa Fe, I was faced with stillness and big sky and, slower, a slower pace. And I began to discover these incredible healers. I have always been drawn toward alternative healing. And I knew I had some healing to do. And I found incredible angels and angel guides in Santa Fe. And it really started me on a journey of self-discovery and discovering more of who I am. And what I learned was how to look at my life story, transform my relationship with my life story to that point, up to that point, and began to see the miracle in the mess. How might that moment have served me? How might it have happened for me and not to me? What was it here to teach me? These were all the questions of exploration that I did. I went to Maori healers, and I remember a healing session one time where this Maori healer, he must have been 350 pounds. He sat on top of me, on my back, on a massage table, and he pulled out this ukulele, and it was like this big in his giant hands.
Right.
He had playing these songs that I thought he had written just for me. How does he know this? But I had nowhere to go. I had to stay on that table. I was pinned down. I had to deal with my pain. I had to deal with my limiting beliefs. And I stood up from that table, I think, with a new dedication and commitment to shedding all the things that were keeping me in a struggle that I didn't need to be in anymore. I learned about forgiveness, forgiving myself, forgiving others. And as I progressed and I, found incredible help and guidance through life coaching, some of the best life coaches in the world, I began to understand I have the power, that everything that I need to heal is within me right now. You just have to be willing to access it. I have to be willing to forgive and to let go and to not control and to surrender what I'm here to learn, what I'm here to be taught. Open my heart, my mind, my ears to hearing truth. And that has led me to the work I do today. That's in a nutshell, but the work I do today is as an adoptee empowerment life coach. So I work with adult adoptees and women, adoptees and non-adoptees, who have felt the sting of rejection, of abandonment, who carry a shame or a self-blame with them today, things that are holding them back from becoming ultimately who they are here to be. And they have a desire and a hunger to get to that place, to see where they are now, to see the vision of where they want to be. And I'm here to help them build the bridge to getting there. And so I write about themes of abandonment and rejection and shame. And I coach women on to transforming their lives. As a life coach, my job is to hear them and to listen to them, because I believe the wisdom that they possess is one of a kind and incredible. And I'm just here to catch it like little, like stardust, and mirror it back to them. And it's incredible, the work of transformation that is done within that very sacred space of life coaching. That partnership is very powerful. And so that's what I do today. And I love it. And it's work that is growing, because you know what, Teri? We all need to be able to feel safe, to be real in front of another human being.
Yes.
And we don't do that. We're conditioned not to show, the mess, but we all have it. So we want to maybe put it in a lockbox and hide it away or sweep it under the rug, but it's still there. And it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger if we don't stop and deal with it. And call the wound out for what it is and learn from the wound. Again, what is it here to teach me? And so I appreciate what you do, because you're shedding light in the world, and we all have that power to share our light. We all have this individual, incredible, radiant light. It's called our essence. And, I think the more that we talk about that, the more we open pathways of people leaning in and being willing to step through that door and show up as they are. I like to say scars, flaws, and all. Just show up,
I love that.
and just take that first step.
Yeah, absolutely. Because for so long, we've not shown any of those flaws. We want to show the perfection, that we're in control, that we're okay.
Yeah.
When you're asked the question, how are you doing? Oh, I'm fine, or I'm okay. And so
Yeah.
we don't show those deep hurts. We don't show that part of us that if we talk about it, we're going to cry. We're going to have the mascara dripping down our face. We just want to put our best foot forward. But I think as a fellow life coach, I have been there where those people are just finally taking that leap out of the airplane, just like what you did. Just saying, okay, it's been with me long enough, and now it's time to unleash it
Yeah.
and to really clear it out. And it
Mhm.
does take a deep dive.
Yeah,
It's
it
not a
does.
surface clean at all.
Mm-mm. No,
It's
it
going
doesn't.
in there.
But isn't that beautiful? I've had people say, I feel like I'm coming apart, or I'm unraveling. And I like to sort of shift that and say, consider, if you will, that you're not unraveling at the seams, you're unfolding into your dreams. And to do that, we do have to loosen the grip a little bit and step away from that controlling aspect of who we
Mhm.
all can be, and have some trust and have some faith that the wisdom you carry within yourself right now is waiting for you. And it's a loving wisdom. It wants to teach you. I think that the scariest thing for me in this life is to think that someday at the end of my life, I would look back and not know the person that I've walked around daily with, right? The person who I've seen in the mirror. I want to know her. I want to learn from her. I want to respect what she's been through, and I want to honor where she's going. And to be that kind of friend for me, that kind of confidant and partner, that's who we need to be for each other. And of course, for ourselves, right? We need to show up in that way for ourselves. And I think that's really key. For me, it was a key lesson for me to learn that I could be that kind of friend for myself. And I didn't have to worry. Ultimately, my parents could leave. A lot of people can walk away, right? In life, situations can change. But I think if we feel like we are standing on solid ground within ourselves, we understand that no one can truly abandon us. And the greatest tragedy of all is abandoning ourselves. But the greatest gift we can give ourselves, I think, is a reunion with the truth of who we are. Coming back to true self is so beautiful and so powerful and so needed in this world. Think about it. If each and every one of us alive made that commitment to do what it takes, even if it looks messy for a little bit, to come back, to come home, to reunite with our truest selves, we transform the world.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I love the quote by Ram Dass. He says, we're all just walking each other home.
Yeah.
And we are. You know, when we can feel into the support of another being that's going through something, it may not be exactly what ours looks like, but when we can have that support and walk each other and lift each other up, yeah, that's when peace is going to come in. That's when more joy will come into your life.
Yes.
You know, I had a client once that as much as I would try to turn it around with her and try to pivot her away from the negative that she was seeing all around her, not realizing it was inside of her, but she would always go back to the outside stuff, the outside chaos that's been. And she kept asking, when will it change? When will it change? So the angels had me use that as the name of a book that I wrote called Changes. And the subtitle is Life Changes When You Do.
Yes.
You make that choice
Yeah.
to make the change.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful because when we look at that mess that we're seeing, that's like being in the cocoon state with a butterfly. It's messy. It's not pretty at all, right?
Right.
I mean, it's just like
Yeah.
goopy and slimy and yuck. It's tearing everything down so that it can rebuild it into that beautiful creature of the butterfly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. And it's so, so true. We can't always, very rarely, control what's going on around us, right? When the winds are blowing all around us and everything seems very uncertain and unsure. But we can control our internal environment, how we respond to those things. And we can choose to create that beautiful state within us. And the fact of the matter is, yeah, we make the choice. But I also think we have to first really see ourselves as worthy of making that choice and worthy of living a life where I am in this beautiful state, where I really get up every day and curious about, how am I here to show up today? What am I here to give, to learn, to receive? What do I need to surrender in order to see those things? And, if I do that, if I do trust and I understand that the messiness is going to happen, who might I become? And it's really, for me, those are questions that jazz me. Like, I want to know more and more of that. And I know, is there that final destination? I think as long as I'm here living and breathing, I am still in the middle of my story, and there's so much to learn and so many connections like you and I here to make. And understanding that our voices, our stories are powerful, and sharing our stories, being willing to say, okay, you know what? I'm going to share my story with this person today. They want to hear it. They're willing to listen. I'm going to share it. I'm going to share all of it and feel the freedom that brings when it's not a perfect story, because nobody's is. Everyone holds a magnificent, imperfect story that's here to help someone else along the way. Not just here to help you, but my goodness, there is a person out there right now who is waiting for the story only you can share. And so why hide it? Give it freely and see what returns to you. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.
I think so too. And if it's hard to share your story, then that means there's just some more healing to be done.
Yeah.
And sharing, you're opening up, you're opening yourself to look at that. And like you were saying, Michelle, what was that lesson? What did that experience teach me? One of my mentors is Lisa Nichols, and she says, we need every experience we've had because it brings us to this place right now where we are in life. It shaped us, it molded us, it helped us to understand our life a little bit better. Like what you were saying, I want to understand all of me and be in every moment, feel every moment, That's my new thing now. And I
Yeah.
think it was either Brendan Burchard or Tony Robbins. I don't know who to give credit to. I heard both of them recently. But what I heard was at the end of the day, when you lay your head down on the pillow and you're getting ready to close your eyes for sleep, just ask yourself, did I feel this day?
Mm.
Did I truly feel this day? Or did I sleepwalk through it? Did I not experience it fully? Did I gloss over it? And was I so distracted by all that outside stuff that I didn't really feel what I was going through in each moment?
Yeah.
So
And
that's
we,
my new thing now, is feeling every moment and feeling my days as they come.
oh, yeah. And that's so beautiful because we often, we're conditioned to numb ourselves, right? To not feel. But it's incredible when we do. And so that is such good advice. I call it just feeling fully alive. I want to feel
Yes.
my life. I want to feel
Yes.
every moment, even the hard times. And it takes some bravery and courage to feel the hard things. But you don't have to do it alone. When we lean in and reach out, you understand that there's a community of hearts and souls out there who want to help you through those hard moments. And it's okay to say, this is hard and it's hard to feel, but I know that I must feel it in order to move forward, to move through this and let it teach me what it's here to teach me. And that is such great advice to know that when you lay your head on your pillow at night, you have fully felt the life that you've lived that day, every moment, every second of it. You felt fully alive. And if you just breathe that in, that feels so good. It feels so good to be connected in that way.
It does. And then when you get into that habit of feeling your day, then every day you'll make music, you'll make beautiful music. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm really getting really fuzzy about who's saying what these days. But I know there's a quote to don't die with the music still inside of you.
Yeah.
And that's just speaking your truth, using your voice
Yeah.
and letting your mess be your message, sharing of yourself, whatever it is that you've been through.
Yeah.
Just do
Yeah.
the sharing and do the caring and let it touch somebody.
Mm.
Let it touch that person that may not see as another human that has been through something similar to what they have and feeling so
Absolutely.
all alone. I'm sure you encountered that, Michelle, with the adoptees that you work with.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. When they begin to see that they're not alone, that there may be others who have walked not an exact experience, but a very similar experience to their own. It is transformational. It's transformational for them. And they begin to open up in incredible ways, in beautiful ways, in heartfelt ways when they feel safe because they know the other person on the other side understands their experience. And I think we all want to feel understood in our lives, right? It's one thing to understand, it's another thing to feel understood and valued in that way. And so, absolutely, for me, the realization that I had a community of people
Mhm.
walking a very similar path as my own was huge because what happens, I think, when we are dinged by an abandonment, a rejection, a disappointment, is we want to pull back and isolate. We don't want to lean in because we don't want to risk being rejected again. But
Right.
it comes with that ability to understand that I have more to gain when I lean in than I do to lose. If I pull out, I'm isolating, and isolation hurts. It
Yes.
hurts the soul. So leaning in and saying, I need help and I need to connect with other people who get what I'm going through. Um, I have adoptees all the time who say to me, adult adoptees who have lived within an experience of isolation and feeling silenced. And when they connect and understand that I get it, it is like the floodgates open up. And usually our first hour together is just that. The floodgates open and they share their whole story, like it's been bottled up for so long, and someone just opened up that bottle and it comes gushing out. And I sit there and I take it in and I witness it. And there's no judgment. There's just, it's so beautiful to see them actually transform from the beginning of that conversation, 60 minutes later to the end, to see the weight of the shame and of the feelings of isolation and feelings of being like a story, a struggle stuck inside of themselves, just the weight being lifted off of their beautiful shoulders and their beautiful spirits is transformational in itself. And that's usually where we start. But yes, leaning in, for me personally, understanding that I have a community has been the key, I think, for me to unlock that journey of self-discovery, transformation, and becoming the truest version of me. It's a
Yes.
beautiful gift. It's a
Oh,
gift.
amazing. That is so beautiful. And you use that J word. So many times we don't open up, we don't share what we've been through because we're so afraid of judgment and
Yeah.
criticism
Yeah.
that somebody's going to look at us in a different light now. They're going to, feel some kind of energy that's shameful, about what's happened. There
Mm.
is nothing to be ashamed of in sharing your story. It happened, even if it was something that you can't even bear the thought of, I really did that. Just know that that's a part of who you are. And there's nothing to be ashamed of in any of this experience.
Mm-mm,
You're
mm-mm. No
beautiful.
shame. That's right. You're a beautiful creation, and we need you here, not shadowed in shame, but standing in your radiant, radiant light. And don't let anyone dim your light. I know it's hard. I felt the dimming of my life for several years growing up, and not really knowing how to find the light that I felt very strongly was within me.
Mhm.
Then you start worrying, well, someone's going to judge me if they know this, or no one would really care if I share my story anyway, or my story really doesn't matter. And those are just untruths.
They're
um,
untruths.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's resistance. And I always tell people, the on the other side of resistance is assistance, and that assistance is there cheering you on, just like, let go, stop resisting. Assistance is here, and beyond assistance is just the power of providence. There
Oh,
are so many beautiful forces out there waiting to assist you once you begin to allow that assistance to come in. Letting
yes.
go of the wheel a little bit, right? Just
Exactly.
go of the wheel just a
Yeah.
bit.
Yeah. And just going into the thought process of what's the best that can happen? If I
Mm,
share my story, what's the best that can happen?
yeah.
Maybe somebody will be helped. Maybe somebody will understand and comprehend that, those things that we go through in life, they shape us,
Yeah.
and they're here to help each of us, not just me. I really, that really came home to me when I went through breast cancer a couple of
Mm,
years ago. And I was so down, I was so depressed, and I really didn't understand until I sat with the energy and with the angels. And I said, help me to understand this. And I was shown that it wasn't just for me. What I went through wasn't just an experience that I was going to go through and then, okay, that's done. Check that off my list.
mm,
That experience was to help anybody that might be going through a trauma in their life. It may be breast cancer, it may be a different cancer,
yeah.
it may be something like MS or another debilitating disease. But what's happened with going through that experience is I fully understand. I get it. I get what it feels like from the moment you get the diagnosis,
Mm,
from the moment you have to understand what now? What's next? How do I deal with this? How do I handle this? So, those things that are going on in your life, whatever it may be, it's not just for you. So,
mm,
don't hold that inside. Don't keep your song inside. That music needs to come out to be heard, to be shared, and not to be judged, not to say, oh, you must have done something wrong because that happened to you. There's no judgment or criticism.
mm,
It's
mm,
all just
mm.
for each of our growth. moving forward, progress, right? Making
Yeah.
that progress
Yeah.
in life.
Yeah, that's so beautiful what you share. And I honor you for sharing that part of your journey because it's powerful. And, so often, yes, we want to hide it all away. But what you're saying is very freeing and it's very life affirming. And it does go back to that question of how is this happening for me, even facing um, you know, a cancer or, someone leaving us or
Yeah.
something that just feels like it's so life shattering, and understanding we have the power to look at those shattered pieces and really begin to put them back together and make a whole new, incredible work of art, right? From those shattered pieces. And so, yes, that part of our journey, it's so important when you feel like you're ready to
Yes.
begin to
Yeah.
share it because you
Oh,
never
good,
know who needs it in that moment.
good point. Because in the beginning, I held it close to my vest. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not going to share this with anybody. This is mine, right? This
Mm-hmm.
is mine. I'm going to be greedy. I'm going to hold on to it.
Yeah.
And then after I understood it wasn't just for me,
Mm.
that's when I shared. So anybody that's going through something, whether you're going through an illness or depression or
Yeah.
isolation, whatever it might be, rejection, the thing
Yeah.
that you deal with all the time with your clients,
Yeah.
whatever that might be, it's not just for you.
No.
And sharing is caring. So when you
Yeah.
share, you're caring enough to open up to say, okay, maybe this will help somebody else.
Yeah. Let your story be an offering. Let it just offer it up, and you'll be, you'll be amazed at how it blesses people. And there are people who your story will bless that you may not hear from, or if you do, it may be 10 years later or what have you, but I guarantee you your story will be a blessing. And so, yes, let it be an offering. I always say to myself when I wake up in the morning, I do a little thing called my gratitude grab. I literally, before, so sorry, goodness. Um, who that is, telemarketer, it said. Um, my apologies. But
That's okay.
before my toes hit the ground, I do something I call a gratitude grab, and I just look around me and I, at least will speak out loud 3 things that I'm grateful for. When I was growing up, I used to be told about adoption, and I find this with many adoptees whom I coach and come in contact with, that they were told just be grateful. So even if they were hurting inside, because, adoption, if we just look at adoption, it's rooted in loss. Something had to come apart before something else could come together.
Mhm.
And so there's a loss piece that people who are adopted express they didn't get to deal with early on. They grieved, but they couldn't grieve out loud. They couldn't really move through the grief. And so they feel stuck in that moment. But there's a difference between someone saying, don't feel what you need to feel, just be grateful, right? Which is damaging,
It is.
versus me taking my power back by practicing this thing called gratitude. And
Mhm.
gratitude is so powerful because I think it connects you to the present moment, because we live in a lot of places, right? In the past or in the future, we're worried about something that may or may not happen in the future. But I think when you are able to ground yourself in gratitude via what I call my gratitude grab, it brings me to the very present moment. And I think it's a very powerful way to start the day and move forward into that place that I like to live, that beautiful state. And so, that's something that I do and I practice because, the primal voice of rejection is always going to sneak in.
Mhm.
The wound is always going to want to try and peek its head into, you know, the doorway of your life. But I think it's being able to recognize it and quiet it when it does and say,
Yeah.
okay, you served a purpose at some point in my life, but I don't
Mhm.
need you right now. I don't need you to show up in this moment. In fact, what I need is gratitude, or whatever that thing may be, that really brings you to the promise of your life, the hope-filled, promise of your life and the day ahead. And so I think it's like building a muscle. Each and every day, it's like building a muscle, because the fear is going to try and creep in. But we have faith, and we have tools, and we have each other to remind us that there is purpose in the pain, and we can move through these tougher moments in our lives. And on the other side of it, we can use those tougher moments to bless someone else along the way. And I think that's what you're saying. And it's beautiful and it's powerful when we understand that our stories are bigger than we are.
Yes, absolutely.
Um,
They're monumental
yeah.
and so needed. Our
Mhm.
stories are needed so that we understand each other. There may be somebody that you think is like the grouchiest, a most unhappy person in the world, and so you avoid them because you don't want to be in their energy. But once you listen, and this is key, once you listen to them, either by their words or their facial expressions, their body movements, you're going to see there's something deeper in there, that it's not just somebody that's unhappy. Maybe it's somebody that's gone through something they've never shared before because they feel that condemnation. They feel that judgment from others.
Yeah.
So open up by just saying hello, smiling. I know we're all wearing masks these days, but your smile extends further than your lips. It goes into your eyes when you're really smiling.
Yeah.
So extend that energy out to others of love, of saying, I see you. We mentioned earlier that we all want to be acknowledged. Those are the things that we need as a human being, to know that we are here. We're here on this planet where we actually do exist. We want to be seen. We want to be heard.
Yes.
We want to be acknowledged. We want to hear somebody call our name, and say that we matter. That's what is being said.
Yeah.
You matter.
Yeah. And if you don't feel there's someone calling your name, be that someone. Speak your name. Speak your name. Be that person for yourself. I read a quote the other day. It said something like, don't adapt to the energy around you, influence the energy around you. And what you're describing is so true. Sometimes we can be in contact with people who are, for whatever reason, experiencing, a very spiraling down kind of energy. We don't have to be sucked away into that. We can actually spiral our energy up, and hopefully it will balance out the situation at the very least, right? Or it might even cause that other person to spiral up and cause them to have a shift in their mindset and how they're seeing things in that moment. But at the end of the day, Tony Robbins, I've done a lot of work with Tony Robbins, and he has helped me significantly in my life, by the way. But he has this concept of seeing everyone as innocent. And that's not easy to do, because by nature as humans, we tend to want to judge, right, each other. But there's a real human story. If you're looking at someone and perhaps they have a more negative energy, or they're a more difficult energy to be around, that's a human story, a human being. And if I can see them as innocent, as someone who is dealing with something, like you said, perhaps they've never even brought up to the surface, then I can have more compassion for that person. And I can give you a quick example. I was raised by adoptive parents from the United States, and my adoptive father was an alcoholic. And so he was a very difficult person to be around, and he was never physically abusive to me, but he was verbally abusive. And his words could cut me like a knife, and it caused me a lot of pain and feelings of disconnection growing up, and shame, to be quite honest with you. And then I learned that my adoptive father had lost his father when he was 11 years old. And I began to really challenge myself to see my father as that 11-year-old boy who never really dealt with that grief. and it made him feel angry. I think he had a lot of uh, shame built around that, a lot of hurt. But, when I heard Tony say that, like, everybody's innocent. Yeah, it made it easier for me to forgive my father and to hold compassion for the boy inside of him that was hurting. Yeah, he was a man, but there was still a boy there that unfortunately he never really got to cradle and help to heal. And so if we all remember that there's a child inside of us who needs our cradling. And that's
Yes.
just, I say that, and I don't mean that to sound simplistic, because it's not. But I know, as an adoptee, when I was adopted, my name was changed from Julia Dawn to Michelle. I never dealt for many, many years with Julia Dawn. I didn't know where she was, where she went. It was like I was mourning her. She was alive, but she wasn't alive. She couldn't come out to play. I had to hide her away. And I mourned her. Some of my most significant, I think, transformational moments of healing happened when I allowed myself to go back to that little girl and cradle her and to hear her, to, as you said, to see her, to hear her, and to allow her to be known. And I think we all have that inside of ourselves, and we need to get back to cradling that child. It's, I think, step number one in healing, to be honest with you.
It is. Yeah, it's so important to do that and to get more in touch with who you truly are.
Yeah.
Like, who were you before the world told you who you were?
Oh, so good. Yes, exactly. And you know what? We have that knowledge inside of ourselves.
We certainly do.
That is a quality question. Who were we before the world said, this is who you are? The world doesn't know who we are. We do. And it's really powerful what you just said. I'm going to write that down when we're finished with our conversation, because that is such an important question to ask ourselves. Who were we before the world started labeling us and judging us and telling us who we are, who we should be, et cetera, et cetera. That's beautiful, Teri. Thank you.
You're so welcome. I want to go back and re-listen to this because there were so many gems shared here today. I'm like, all right, angels, let's just jot all this down. And this is one that I'm going to share and reshare this story today, this show. And I see that we're close to being out of time.
Oh my gosh.
I know, it just kind of really flowed, didn't it?
Yeah, thank you. That was a beautiful conversation. I learned so much. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I really do want to connect with you. You're so close by to where I am. I've driven through where you live now a few times. Just this past weekend, I went down to Palm Springs, Desert Hot Springs area. We did a beautiful land blessing there on Sunday, 2 days ago. We had music. We had a reverend that prayed and did a blessing on the land in addition to what the angels brought through. And those are all on YouTube. Anybody that wants to follow the journey, it's called Our Journey of Healing, Peace on Earth Tour. And that was the 10th land blessing that's been done across the country. I started out almost 6 months ago. I'll be celebrating on Thursday the 6-month mark of this journey that I've been on the road, traveling in the car. I don't have a home. I just live wherever I go. Each place I go into feels like home. And it's just so welcoming and beautiful with the people I've met and people that have opened up that have the same idea that I do, that the more we share peace in the world, the more we're going to see the evidence of that showing up for us.
Yeah.
That's what the journey is all about.
Yeah.
Bringing peace in. I love John Lennon, and he was such a visionary. His words flowed through his songs, and he felt that energy, that nudge to be that voice to let us know that there can be peace in our world. And I make a declaration every night. I say, we declare there is peace on earth, and we declare that peace begins inside of us. It has to begin there.
Yeah.
So I've been making that declaration now at all the land blessings. Every time I do one, that's how I end it, is with that declaration.
That's
because
beautiful.
I know it is here.
Yeah.
I know because I feel it.
And it starts within, and that's so, I think that's a powerful way to end our conversation. Peace does start within. And the reason that you feel at home with every stop that you make is because you are at home. You've come home to yourself, within yourself. And home can be that place within, so that no matter where we are home. And what a gift to give to ourselves, and then also to each other. To see that example being lived out through you is a blessing. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's an honor to be on this journey. I couldn't plan it any better than what the angels have planned it. And I know they got me close to you so that we can actually meet in person. I'm heading to Mount Shasta. That's where the tour is headed next.
Okay.
I'll be doing a land blessing there, a land blessing in Sacramento with Lily Ortega. And Lily,
nice.
I believe, is making plans to come to Mount Shasta as well, to be present for that one. That's going to happen later this month and then the beginning of April. And then I'll be back down this way. So hopefully we'll be able to coordinate something where we can meet for real in person, and at least say hello and see each other face to face.
I would love that. I would love that. I am here, and I would look so forward to that warm embrace. So yes, please.
Awesome. I love it. Michelle, before we leave, can you please share with people how they can get in touch with you? And I just want more people to know you, to know your services. Like I said, I know many people that are adoptees, and the parents that adopted them. You reach out to them as well, I believe.
Yeah, I do. I also coach adoptive parents along the journey of understanding how their child, whether that child is 10 or 30 or sees the world. And it's a fluency that I think parents need to understand as well, who have delivered through adoption. And so it's always a blessing to coach and connect with adoptive parents too. I can be found on Instagram at Michelle Madrid-Branch. On Facebook, my author page is at Let Her Be Greater. And my website currently is lifecoachmmb.com. We have a new site coming out in the weeks ahead. So please connect with me on Instagram so that I can share that with you when we do make that change. And again, Instagram is at Michelle Madrid-Branch. I look forward to seeing everyone.
Absolutely. And I did put that in the description of this show. So whether you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, you're going to see Michelle's information to reach her on her website.
And I followed you on Instagram today. So I followed you today. So I'm one of your followers now.
All right. Well, I'm going to follow you right back.
Why, thank you.
Oh, Michelle, it has been an honor to have you here today. I just love you so much. I love your message. I love what you do in the world. The difference that you are making is tremendous. So thank you. Thank you for stepping out, for jumping out of that airplane and taking a deep dive into your soul purpose. That's what you did. You came in alignment with your soul purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And I love you right back. It's been an honor. Thank you.
Thank you. And to all of you watching, namaste, y'all. Have a beautiful, blessed rest of your day or night, wherever you may be. And I'll be back again next week. Next week, my guest is going to be Joan of Angels. And if you don't know Joan of Angels, you will absolutely love her. And it will be her birthday. Don't tell anybody. But we're going to surprise her with a beautiful birthday on Gratitude Happy Hour next week. So stay blessed, stay in your heart, because if you're out of your heart, you're going to get caught up in the spin. Go back into your heart and stay in the love. I love you all so much. Michelle, this has been wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.